Number 8, PP 19055, Aledo Bluffs, 46 single-family detached residential lots and 1 private HOA lot in the ETJ of Parker County. The location is north of White Settlement Road, east of FM 3325, west of Arroyo Drive, and south of Bermuda Circle. The applicant requests and DRC recommends approval of the preliminary plat and approval of subdivision ordinance waivers. 1, to allow 1 long block face, Block A, to exceed the maximum 1950-foot block length. 2, to allow 1 cul-de-sac street length, Aledo Ridge Drive, to exceed 1350 feet. 3, to not provide the minimum 100 feet of frontage for cul-de-sac lots in Block 2. And 4, to allow a rural street section.
Thank you very much, Mary. Is the applicant present?
Clayton Farrow with Jacob and Martin Engineering out of Abilene. I'm here to speak on behalf of Aledo Bluffs. We're requesting these subdivision ordinance waivers just on the fact that the property has a unique shape to it. It's got excessive topography. The county's lot size requirements for septic systems and individual water wells, and the existing lack thereof of street connections to the property. I'll go through each of the waivers individually. So the block face Block A is just determined based on the fact that the adjacent property to the west or to the east of this property did not stub a street, and so in order to make any kind of street connection there, we had to extend the long block along that eastern boundary line. The long cul-de-sac street, Aledo Ridge Drive, exceeds 1,350 feet. Again, it's due to excessive topography on the land. It's hard to make that connection back to the east and even connect those 2 cul-de-sacs. The third, minimum 100-foot frontage for cul-de-sac lots. As I mentioned earlier, the county requires 2-acre lots. On these cul-de-sac lots, they may have about an 86-foot frontage at the right-of-way dedication, but once you get the house back there at the building line, you're going to well exceed the 100-foot minimum. And then the rural street section is essentially to match what's in surrounding neighborhoods. I'm here to answer any other questions if you have them of me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay. I see none at this time. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone to speak in support of preliminary plat 19055, Aledo Bluffs? Okay. Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Okay. 2. Raise your hand if you're going to wish to speak in opposition. I would remind everyone that there's 7 minutes for opposition. So if you have a speaker that you would like to designate to come first, please, sir. Okay.
Jeff Dempsey, City of Fort Worth. I live on the corner of Tiara Trail and Topaz Trail in Tierra Ranch Estates. We, the residents of Tiara Ranch Estates, have serious concerns regarding the main thoroughfare to Aledo Bluffs being Tiara Trail. Before I proceed, I am requesting that your commission postpone this hearing and vote to a later time, and I am requesting that the plat applicant perform a floodplain review, transportation impact study, site drainage study, and a water review to show the impact of its subdivision on the community and environment. Is this request for postponement agreeable to the commission?
The commission cannot dictate a continuance. Only the applicant can ask for a continuance.
Understood.
Thank you.
We absolutely realize that Parker County is booming and that people want to move here and need homes, but that doesn't mean that it is safe, prudent, or fair to place the burden of that growth on existing homeowners or build homes wherever they will fit. The use of Tiara Trail, as proposed by the plat applicant, poses an extreme safety and health hazard due to its existing dangerous nature. This is particularly true when existing homeowners have voiced and demonstrated that Tiara Trail, as is and without any added traffic is already an extremely dangerous road. Tiara Trail is the sole entrance and exit to the residents of Tiara Ranch Estates. We do not have any other option but to use Tiara Trail to enter and exit the neighborhood. Tiara Trail is already a dangerous street. It is a very narrow, at points it is no wider than 19 feet. It has blind hilltops where the driver is unable to see who or what is coming its way. It has no sidewalks, and it is not properly marked as a two-way street. Drivers drive down the middle of the road, and several of us have and can detail numerous times where we have been narrowly avoided being hit by a speeding driver, either while driving or walking down Tiara Trail. All school bus pickups are on Tiara Trail. Our children use this already dangerous road to ride their bikes and walk to wait for the bus. The surge of traffic on this road would significantly increase the safety hazard to our children who walk, play on this street, and wait for the bus on this narrow road that, again, has no sidewalks. There are only 26 homes in Tiara Ranch Estates. Aledo Bluffs is proposing to build 46 homes, which would triple, if not quadruple, our population and the traffic on our narrow and dangerous Tiara Trail. The way Aledo Bluffs has structured their proposed subdivision has all traffic funneling towards Tiara Trail, our one and only street. There are absolutely no stop signs on Tiara Trail, from the proposed entrance of Aledo Bluffs to the exit of Tiara Trail, which means that ingress and egress from the residents of Aledo Bluffs will completely dictate our traffic. Again, the only way we can go in and out of our homes is using Tiara Trail. In addition to those safety and health concerns, we have serious environmental concerns. The addition of 46 individual water wells, as proposed by the plat applicant, would put a huge strain on an already suffering water supply. The Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District has confirmed there are existing seasonal issues with our water supply. We have had significant well and water quality issues, including significantly increased mineralization, foul odors, and a decrease in water table depth. Overstressing of our water supply is a real and significant problem in general, but specifically so in this area. Any action on furthering this case should be postponed until the community can be assured that increased demand on our water table doesn't induce excessive cost or other significant encumbrance on existing property owners. As a minimum, the lot size and distribution of homes should be much less dense to minimize impact on the water table. The plat applicant has stated that it has not considered nor reviewed the use of any other points of access. A review of the plat application shows that there are other wider and safer points of access that could be used to enter and exit Aledo Bluffs. Tiara Trail is not its only option, and it is certainly not the safest. I live on Tiara Trail, and I had no notice of the proposed Aledo Bluffs subdivision, even though this change would greatly impact my home and my life. Most of us learned about Aledo Bluffs by coincidence and through the grapevine. We only had 5 days to prepare our arguments and to discuss the impact of this decision. I would like to bring to your attention to our petition that we provided yesterday through email, 38 signatures objecting to the use of Tiara Trail as proposed by the plat applicant. Please keep in mind that we only have 26 homes in Tiara Ranch Estates with 38 signatures. I thank you for your time, and I urge you to deny the proposed use of Tiara Trail into Aledo Bluffs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dempsey. That was very well said.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I think we still have about not quite 2 minutes to speak. If there's anyone that has something that has not been covered, okay? Please, sir.
My name is Bill Power, and I'm also a resident on Tiara Trail. I'm actually the second house up from the end of Tiara Trail, falling about 100 feet outside, I guess, the notification zone for the fact that this action was being contemplated. I provided a note to Mr. Campbell as well. We've obviously been talking. The neighborhood is very, very concerned about this. One thing that I would add that was not covered in the previous is impact to property values. And it's a very real thing to turn what is presently a fairly quiet neighborhood into a major thoroughfare with lots of traffic going up and down our main street. The nature of that existing neighborhood is part of what attracted all the homeowners to it. And I realize, like we said, that we can't just stop all progress, but in this case, I think there's other options that can be pursued for the entrance and exit, as previously discussed. So I just want to add the concern about property values, and there's nothing that will impact the value of our homes more than if we start having water problems. I just had to replace a wellhead on my well, discovered that my well was actually 420 foot deep, and we've only got about 30 foot of water table where the water was. So I'm already getting pretty close in the aquifer that we're drilled into. And I think there's an important need to do a very significant water study on this before we, actually quadruple the demand on that water table in the local area. So it's probably about the limit of our time, so thank you. And Mr. Campbell, I did send you an email yesterday. I know it came a little late, but hopefully it can be considered as part of the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Power. Exactly, that is the time for the opposition. I would like to allow 2 minutes for rebuttal from the applicant.
Thank you, Commission. Thank you, neighbors. I do appreciate you guys coming and voicing public opinion. That's obviously helpful to hear, just to be a good neighbor for the property owner. I want to address the items that I heard earlier in order. So floodplain was required, floodplain and drainage study. As part of the preliminary plat process through City of Fort Worth, we were required to do a preliminary drainage study. That's been approved and accepted by Stormwater already. Floodplain will have to be addressed at the time of final platting as far as anything that happens to the specific lots that are affected by the floodplain. The traffic impact, we engaged a traffic engineer, again, as part of the preliminary plat process to evaluate the impacts and trips generated by this subdivision, to either to the subdivision or away from the subdivision. They wrote a letter in support of the fact that it wouldn't have any negative impact on streets abutting this property. Water and wastewater study, we worked with Parker County. We meet their subdivision ordinance, and they requested that wells would be individually permitted through the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District at the time of house construction. That's part of the individual well permitting process. And then other points of access. We looked at every other connection to this property, and really there's only 2 points of access to this property from a public right-of-way perspective. We've engaged the county, and they're on board with the 2 streets and they say that they do have public access and are public rights-of-way to be connected to. We certainly did our best to try to lay out the property in the land use that it is, and just request that the commission move forward with the preliminary plat process.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay. I see none. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming the large crowd here is here on this case. I just wanted verification of that.
Okay.
Just wanted to publicly, just so that we would know how many people showed up. Thank you.
This is a very difficult case for us because we all live in neighborhoods within the city of Fort Worth, and we all know what development can do and what it cannot do. And we also respect the rules that we operate this commission by. The things that we do have control over and the things that we do not have control over. We do not have any control over the water. I wish we did, but we don't. The Upper Trinity management is controlling that, and I think that Mr. Campbell has communicated that Should you have questions, please contact Mr. Doug Shaw, okay? As far as the traffic, I understand that the streets in your existing subdivision are actually public streets. The streets in this proposed subdivision are going to be private streets, okay? So please talk to Parker County, okay, about the maintenance, the stop signs. I'm hopeful with the increase in traffic, there might be some enhancements that you can ask them for. Okay. I'm sorry, the public hearing has been closed. Okay, thank you. Your concerns are well founded, but the traffic study has been completed. The drainage study has been completed and accepted. Commissioners, I will entertain any additional discussion. Okay. At this point, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to not approve the waivers.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to disapprove the waivers.
Let me clarify the reason that I'm making this motion is primarily because of the street construction that's leading to this subdivision. I find it to be substandard for City of Fort Worth. By City of Fort Worth standards, it's substandard, and I realize it's not in the City of Fort Worth. However, there are requirements now that, as I understand it, developments in the ETJ are supposed to meet City of Fort Worth standards. And my concern is that the street going into the existing subdivision is not even adequate for emergency access. It doesn't even meet the requirements for a fire lane, let alone a public street. And I think to add to the problem by developing 46 more homes up there is irresponsible. Thank you.
Commissioner Tidwell, I assume that you approve the plat but disapprove the waivers. Is that correct? Okay. And that is the second by Commissioner Schock. Okay. Any additional discussion? Okay. I see none, so let's begin voting. That is passed at 6-1. Okay. That is correct. The waivers requested, the plat was approved, but the waivers that were requested were denied. Okay?